Hello, this is Terry Dean of MyMarketingCoach.com. We earn more, work less, and enjoy life. And I'm here with David Perdue, who is the founder of Niche Affiliate Marketing Systems, which is on its sixth NAMS coming up here soon, and it's been running for 3 years now. And how are you doing today, David?
I'm doing great, Terry. Thank you for doing this today.
Well, I know that you have some great content that you want to share with my audience and really help us succeed quickly online and execute some big ideas in our own business.
That's exactly what I want to do. You know, I've tested these things. In fact, I have been a consultant for about 25 years in the corporate world, as well as doing online business myself. And I found in the corporate world that it really boils down to 6 steps to get something implemented, no matter how big the idea is. And that's what I've documented here and want to walk people through. They can apply it to their smallest project or their largest project.
Well, excellent. Let's get right into it because I don't want to waste anybody's time, and let's get to the 6 ideas.
Sure. So the first thing I wanted to say here was Thomas Watson, IBM founder. We all know him. Well, maybe we don't know him, but in the 30s or 40s, he's the guy who came up with IBM. And one of his quotes, which always stuck with me, was, "Would you like me to give you the formula for success? It's quite simple, really. Double your rate of failure. You are thinking of failure as the enemy of success, but it isn't at all. You can be discouraged by failure or you can learn from it. So go ahead and make mistakes. Make all you can, because remember, that's where you will find success." And I know that you're huge in testing, Terry, and conversion, and I'm sure that you like to see when things fail because you can fix that.
I do. I'm going to steal this quote from you because I've actually never heard that quote before, and I've often said for myself that the reason I succeeded online is I failed so many times. I basically found every way that didn't work first.
Well, and one of the points that I bring up here on the next slide is that this system that I'm putting together here, this six-step system, worked with Thomas Edison, Henry Ford. Leonardo da Vinci was great at this because, you know, he used to do drawings of everything he did before he executed them. And the thing about failing is that it's important to fail toward success. And sometimes that means shutting down when you realize what you're doing is not working. But that is a success. Failure is never failure if it's controlled failure. And one of the points that we want to make in this system is that you control your cost, control your risk. That's really important because if you are failing at the right points, you're not losing much money.
And if you're not failing at all, it's because you're not doing anything.
That's right. That's exactly right. So let's go to the next slide here and show you these ideas. It's very simple. I say it's a dream because I like to daydream and get in a quiet place where I can actually think of solutions to problems. So that's where the big ideas come for me, is when I get quiet. And so the first step in this process is dream. The second step is prototype. Now that's a scary word to a lot of people because it means, to some people it means, oh, I go out and I build a sample product or I do something like that. It can be as little as a drawing on a napkin. There have been patents that have been awarded based on drawings on napkins. And, you know, then people make money from it, and that's what you do. Prototypes can be a multi-step process as well, as long as you incorporate this next step, which is test. Test is the thing that gives you all the information that tells you whether you're going to succeed or not before you even start. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Oh, I definitely do. I always agree with low-cost tests.
Right. So the worst thing we can do is go from dream to execute. How many times have you done that?
A couple of times, and what that creates is a spectacular failure.
Yes, it does. It creates. Unfortunately, I have too much experience in this. Dream and execute. It's like I've got a great idea. Let's go do it. And before I know it, I've spent a lot of money trying to go do it, and then I realize, oops, I forgot. Prototype test. Prototype test. So this is, if you do the prototype test, this is where you really save yourself a lot of money. And you get great feedback because often what you think you started with as the product turns out to be something else based on your results of your test.
Yeah, I've seen that many times also.
So execute. We know what our test results are. And then we need to make a decision. This is really important. This decision part is you weigh and evaluate the results of your test and your early feedback in the test. And you decide whether you're going to go ahead and spend the money. You determine what it is, and you have to bring together your team. Now, one of the things that you do when you bring together a team at this point to execute a project is you let the team to tell you what the tasks are, because you don't know what the tasks are. The team, and if this is just you, it's you. I mean, if it is something that you don't have enough money, if it's a small project and you have a low budget for it and you're the person building it, then you have to sit down and figure out what the tasks are. But if it's a big project, say a website with an authority site that you're going to bring in outsourcers, you talk to them because they have the expertise in different areas, like building the website infrastructure, creating, your video TV station that goes with it, or whatever you want to do. And then you talk to them about what the tasks are. You let them help you figure out what the budget is before you start. And then you make a decision, am I going to do this or not, based on the results of those tests. Then, assuming that you have executed this, you get to the point where you want to always collect feedback, because this is where the big money comes. You get feedback. Well, actually, the big money comes where you improve it, because if you do nothing with the feedback, then you've wasted your time. You collect feedback, and to me, feedback is a multi-pronged approach, because you get human feedback, which is often biased. You get people telling you what they think you want to hear, and you get technological feedback, which is conversions. You know about conversions, of course.
Yeah, I definitely try to move both in there. I like to see the actual numbers that we have from the person, and I also like to talk to customers. I think a lot of people make a mistake that they want to insulate themselves from all the customers and never speak to anyone.
Right.
I think that's a big mistake.
It is a huge mistake. One of the things I found out working for the big corporations was that they will come up with a new project, a new website, or a new flow in selling whatever their product is, and they do it in a room. And they put it together and they send it out there, and it flops big because they didn't talk to a focus group or a customer group prior to see if they even wanted it. So in the feedback stage, Terry, one of the things that I like also is the web stats that you get on the back end of your websites. Now, this works for anything, so it could be a website, or it could be even, I used the example of getting married the other day with a friend on this, because I did a dream execute once on a marriage. And, we needed to walk through that a little bit to figure out how to test that relationship before we actually committed. And if I'd done that, it would have been different.
And you had a whole bunch of expensive tests afterwards.
I did, exactly. And when I got married, the last time, to my current wife, she comes to NAMS, and she's a terrific woman. Everybody loves her. We've been married 13 years. We actually went to a marriage counselor for 6 weeks before we got married, so that we could test our relationship with the unbiased feedback of a third party. And it's been a great marriage. So, it works in everything. So once you get your feedback, you improve it. Boy, this is so important. So many people collect feedback, and then they say, well, that can't be right. Or, it's not, I don't have the time to mess with it, or whatever it is, and they don't do anything with it. And so it just sits there.
I've seen that problem, yes.
Well, and I notice in your total conversion courses, this is something you focus on a lot, is continually getting feedback and redoing or improving what you're going to improve your conversions.
Yeah, you're always looking for the absolute best conversion you can have. You're always looking to improve everything. You're always asking more questions. I think what we actually talk about in conversion is your feedback process never ends.
Right. And that's the reason that this is a circle. It's not a linear project or a linear set of tasks, because it actually, you go through everything from beginning to end over and over, because once you improve it, you get back up to the dream and you think, how did my dream change? How did my big idea change? And can I add to it? Can I take away from it? Often the best way to improve your business is to subtract from it. To get more focused on what that idea was. But also often in a business, you see one thing that works, and you see that you can add to it for multiple streams. So you continually go through this circular process. Is this making sense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the one thing I pointed out here is that size doesn't matter. From the small to the large, it's the same process, and it doesn't matter what the project is. It doesn't matter whether it's a, I built my own house, and I started with a blueprint, and I was not a builder. I don't know how to build houses, and this is a log house, but it's something that I always wanted to do. But I started with a blueprint. Actually, I started visiting and looking at models to see if this was something I really wanted to do. And when I found out that it was, we contracted for a blueprint, and then the next thing I did was dig a hole in the ground with a backhoe and start building a foundation. And of course, at that point, I was reviewing and giving myself a little feedback, and I was standing in the middle of that hole, and I looked around and said, holy crap, what have I done? But because it was a step-by-step process, I was able to complete this house, and we live in it, and it's in a beautiful setting, and it's been one of the greatest experiences of my life. That was a huge project.
You deserve congratulations on that. I would have probably got to, I dug the whole stage and then decided there's no way in the world I'm going to live in anything I built.
Well, I will confess that we built one wall 3 times. Windows are very tricky, by the way. So, but one of the things that I also found in this process is you have to be open to the solution. So the solution is, if I have an idea of what a solution is before I get there, I have to be very careful that I don't rope myself into something that is limiting. And that's where I look for a lot of feedback on the prototype especially, because one of the great things that I loved about corporate situations where they do actually do usability testing and consumer-focused groups prior to implementing is that the consumers and the users will always find the fastest way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I mean, always. And if they don't, they bail. So the thing that I've learned is don't force it. Square peg, round hole, not always the best. And if it's going down a different path, you want to accept that and either retool what you're doing or give up on it because maybe it was something specific that you wanted to do.
And I definitely agree there. So many people online, they find one system for success, or somebody talks about one system, it might be me or it might be anybody else, and they'll start following it, and everything doesn't go exactly the way that it's planned. It doesn't go exactly the way that they want, and they keep trying to force that one system without bringing in any other ideas, without looking for any other advice, and without listening to the feedback.
Right.
And I've found that everyone that I've worked with who's been very, very successful, they take the basic system that we talk about, and they always find a way to refine it for their market, and basically it's from that customer feedback cycle.
Yeah, it is. And this relates directly to part 2 of your total conversion course, I think, where you outline all of the basic sales letter approaches, and then you talk about how you take the best of each of those approaches and make it work for you, the person going through the course. That's really important.
And what works today, because conversion has changed over time.
Oh, yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything we do with traffic works the same way. So everything we're doing in our own businesses is changing as time goes on, and you have to be willing to move with it and make the changes. And
the last thing I wanted to say here was you have to accept what's happening because you're not in charge of really what goes on here. I'm a big believer in that there's a force bigger than us who helps us move through the day. And one of the things here is that writers talk about characters taking over their plots. And I've known a lot of writers who wrote novels because I was in that world for a while, in the publishing world. And they often talk about, well, this isn't the book I thought I was going to write. So-and-so, the main character, decided to do this because it was natural to that process.
I've had that happen just in writing for an article, writing for a blog post, or even writing sales copy, that where you end isn't necessarily where you thought you were going to end up. Well, and start telling the story.
How many times have you written a blog post, Terry, and you start with something and then you find that you're writing something else? And what I do when that happens is that I actually snippet that piece out, put it in another tab because I'm going to come back to that, and now I have 2 blog posts.
I usually do the same thing. What I'll end up doing is once I start writing, I will keep whatever flow I kept. That's probably the art post that gets posted now.
That's
and then
right.
whatever I originally planned, the outline, that's the one that ends up being a new post later on.
That's right. That's right, because you were inspired to write something else. So there's a lot more detail on these 6 steps, and I've got a mind map that I use for really going into much more detail, and people can get that mind map in a 6-part e-course about each of the steps. They can go to nams.ws/6Terry, T-E-R-R-Y, and that's nams, nams.ws/6Terry. And they can have this mind map. It is a free mind map so that they can download it and unzip it and use it. And I'll continually update this as I find new things to add to this mind map.
Excellent.
So I wanted to give you a little case study on NAMS, because NAMS actually grew out of this very system that I use. It started as an idea for weekend training for my affiliates 3 years ago. And word got out that I was doing this, and we had 65 people come to the first workshop, which I charged almost nothing for, and had 65 people there, 6 instructors, including Lynn Terry here. And the promise was you'd leave with a website and a sale, your first sale if you hadn't made any sales. Well, that was obviously an unfulfilled promise for some people, because you cannot promise what action other people are going to take. I can only put them in front of them, and they're either going to do it or not do it. So we backed off on that. But the thing we did do at that first session was give everybody in the room a party horn. And when they made a sale during the weekend, they blew the horn, no matter who was talking, no matter what was going on. And by Sunday, it sounded like a bunch of geese, I'm telling you, so it was great.
It got hard to speak by Sunday.
Yeah, it did. It did. So this quickly became a larger opportunity, because this was really my test. This was a prototype for a workshop, and the test was successful. So at the end of that, about 70% of the people signed up for the next one, which I decided we would do on the fly there based on the result of this. And we raised the price and did all of that. And about 70 people signed up for the next one. And Jeff Herring, who was there, said, "David, you're going to need a bigger boat." And we did. We needed a bigger, that's the line from Jaws as the animal is eating off the back of that boat, remember? And we did need a bigger boat. So we moved into bigger rooms, and we decided to listen to the feedback which came out of that first one, which was more hands-on training, more small groups, more focus on experience level. Now, there are not many workshops out there where people have their computers open in front of them and are doing what you tell them to do at that moment. You'll see here in this picture at NAMS 1, this is Willie Crawford. This is Chris Cobb, who was a ranked beginner at that very first one, and that's the morning session of the first day. The rest of the time, she was sitting right up here in the front row because she got on fire from that. Chris has gone through all tracks of NAMS, which is now Beginner 1, Beginner 2, Intermediate, and Advanced, and is now an instructor at NAMS as well, along with Dan Morris, who've gone through the entire thing. So they've turned their lives into successful online business people, and I'm really proud of them.
So the big change that's happened is it turned more into a workshop where people are taking action while at the event than a seminar, correct?
Yeah, it absolutely has, and that was based on the feedback we continually get. I mean, we got feedback on NAMS 2, on the afternoon of NAMS 2, that we weren't doing enough hands-on workshop, and the poor instructors, who I practically browbeat into working really hard, I made them rewrite their presentations that night. So they were most of the night rewriting their presentations and incorporating more workshop material. So that's the kind of response we do to feedback.
And then you said you had beginner group was too big and advanced group, they wanted it more intimate. What was that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what happened was beginner 1, or the beginner group, was about 80 people, 70 people I'd say, and then the intermediate and the advanced were the remainder of the 120 at that next NAMS. And the beginner got unwieldy because you had, even in that beginner group, we had people who had a computer. That's all they did. They didn't know how to turn it on very much. And we also had people who had a computer and had a website but never made a sale. Or if they did, it was accidental. And then the intermediate group was a group that was making money, but supplementing their income, but not really making a living. The advanced group is a group making a living online and want to make their businesses sustainable. so that they actually have an asset that they can sell. And you've been through that, so you know what I'm talking about there. The advanced group, the feedback from the from NAMS 2 was the advanced group really wanted to have a mastermind in the afternoon where they, as an advanced group, could really talk with the other 15, 20 people in that group about their businesses without a recorder on. So they could really open up. And this turned into a very valuable session for the advanced group. Fun to be in.
I think that would be a fun session.
It's a very fun session. And then it's just really facilitated by people who have a lot of experience. And we'll put you in that session as well, Terry. When you come
well, I will have fun. I will have fun there.
Yeah, you will.
Because I like going down to the nitty-gritty details and especially improving everybody's conversion everywhere.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So NAMS 4 was the same system as this, and this was a year ago, August. Same system. We had 200 students. The only negative feedback we got was how to continue the learning and the support. When you leave there, you go away from a workshop, and it's like, now what were they saying about da-da-da-da, and who was that person? And so we created a forum, a members forum, where people could have accountability groups in our forum and could sign up by geographic area, basically, and they meet weekly. And they continue doing what they're doing. And then we also started doing weekly webinars from the instructors, and we're using our entire faculty. So we have like 40 people on the faculty now. We're using the entire faculty to do weekly webinars one at a time, not all 40 at once, one at a time, where we can go through a topic and go through it in more depth. So they're getting continued education. And the other thing was we want a nicer hotel. Personally, I liked this hotel we were in a lot. It was very comfortable. They were great to us. But we found a hotel that we just are really going to take over the entire hotel, and it's got great presentation space. So we're moving to this hotel in Atlanta. These are all in Atlanta. So that's where we're going to be this August.
So basically what I'm hearing is, over this whole process, a question I have for you is, you went through the process over and over again. You've gotten feedback, you've improved the process, you had a prototype for the next session. How much has your dream changed throughout all of this compared to when you first did NAMS 1?
Well, the dream changed a lot. It started out as a very simple concept. Well, when you've got 65 people in one room, and now you've got 250 probably for NAMS 6, 250 to 300 in 4 rooms, it becomes I sweat all the time when I'm at these workshops because I am working my tail off. It's like running a 3-wing circus. And I tell people up front the first day, all of these instructors are incredibly approachable. And we also have 10 aides that we now bring in to the workshops. And they're volunteers, and they're people who are on the track, basically, to move into instructor roles at some point. And these aides are the ones who keep the world moving, because I tell everybody at the beginning on Friday, all the instructors are accessible, all the aides are accessible. I'll probably bark at you if you come up to me. I mean, I'll be nice, but I really do just run my legs off. So my dream has changed a lot here.
So in other words, they're not going to be able to catch you.
No, they're not.
All of the 27 instructors are going to be the ones who get to ask you questions, and you'll have them bugging you so much no one else will catch you.
That's right. That's right. So one of the other things that we do is and this is a response to people in the forums as well. I've got a bunch of affiliates, and I have started my own affiliate training for these folks, which is free. We meet as webinars. I put together a 4-part course for that, and we have, like I said, the accountability groups in the forum now for folks. And we moved to this NAMS 5. We did completely virtual because this was another test. What is the response to a virtual workshop going to be? So we did, as you remember, 7 days of virtual webinars. I think we did 18 hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the first week, and then 2 hours a day after that. It was massive. And that was a huge success. People loved it. So we're going to try to incorporate virtual workshops into our NAMS system as well. So it's grown a ton, Terry. I mean, it's huge.
You keep adding to it, obviously. I guess if we could partly answer your question, the question I gave you earlier about the dream. If you would have looked at what you're doing today back at that first dream stage, you probably would have ran.
Absolutely. And people tell me, how did you come up with this idea? Well, you know, I tell you, I was talking to my coach on my deck one day while I was on the phone. I was standing on my deck pacing, as I usually do, and we were talking about how to get more people active in this hosting product that I had at that point. And basically he said, well, why don't you just put on a weekend workshop and get those people there and talk to them about what that is, and, you know, make it cheap, and they can come, and you get a couple other speakers, and that'll be that. After the first day of that weekend workshop, everybody came up to me and said, holy crap, this is bigger than you thought it was. This is huge. And because of the workshop concept, there's a ton of pitch fest out there. But there's not, I have seen one other workshop concept, and it is $1,000 to do it. And it also is a very, very high level, advanced only weekend kind of deal in Chicago. And it's not similar to this at all. It doesn't have the tracks that we're talking about. It's not for beginners. It's for people who have thriving businesses offline, particularly. That's how this happened. The workshop became the focus of this.
I can see that basically in internet training there really isn't that many workshops done. There's very, very few. Whenever I've seen one and participated in one, they were the most fun because that's where people got results out of them. Yeah. But they're hard work. That's the answer for it. They're very hard work.
They are very hard work, and I tell you, every time I do one, I crash for about a week afterwards, and I think to myself, do I really want to do this again? But, you know, after the first one, Terry, I also invested in equipment. So I've got $25,000 worth of audio equipment and speakers and all that kind of stuff, and recorders, because I'm recording all 4 rooms now. So, and the people who come to the workshop and stay in the hotel get the recordings of that workshop for free.
So they get all the recordings of all of the ones except for the advanced quiet session, or
they get the recordings of all of the ones, including the advanced, but not the mastermind and the advanced afternoons. So that's a 3-hour segment.
So in other words, if somebody's a beginner, they can go through the beginner track while they're there working on that, and then when they were to get home, they could go back and go through all the intermediate.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the reason we do this is because we want them to come back. Our return rate is about 65%. And we want people to go through the tracks, because if you go to beginner and we see you in beginner next time, I'm going to ask you some questions. What have you been doing? Why are you here? What have you implemented? I want to see.
Excellent.
Yeah. So this next one is going to be August 19th to the 21st. We try to get people there on Thursday and leave on Monday, because we have additional workshops that bookend this thing by specialist. And it's a $397 until the end of the month. And with this coupon code, 100 special, they can get $100 off that price. Now, there's a 3-payment plan that's available till the end of the month as well. And you'll see when you go to that payment plan, it's $199, $99, and $99. If you do the 100 special against that 3-payment plan, it knocks all 3 of those down to $99 each, and that's over 3 months. You get access to the NAM's 25 hours of video instruction plus the 27 hours of deep dive follow-up. So they already have 52 hours of instruction, which is video and, top notch. Before they even come to the workshop. And at the workshop, they meet the very people who have done this instruction and help implement that stuff.
Well, see, the only one I've participated in so far personally is NAMS 5, and it's a great program from what I've seen. So I'm interested in meeting everybody once I get to NAMS 6.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It is. We have so much fun. People will be exhausted, I guarantee you. And you have to come with that mindset that you're ready to work. But we party. And we work hard, we play hard. That's what we do. So, and we get a lot of results. And we also have a sales contest. I should tell you this, too. This is fun. On Saturday at noon, or before lunch, I'll say, we have a panel. And that panel, we record that, and we create an audio product live there in the room on the topic. The last one we did was keyword research. And it was a great topic. We had a good panel. And we recorded it, and by mid-afternoon Saturday, we have it up and ready for people to sell at 100% commission. So they are then competing until Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock, for the top sales prize, which each time, the last 3 times we've done this, has been over $20,000 of course donation, and in some cases cash, or a computer from people in the room. And so it's been an awesome event just to have that sales contest.
It sounds like it.
It's a lot of fun.
It's always fun when you see something happening live at the event.
And that's what we do. I mean, there's a lot of people making sales. And it's 100% commission, so they get the money.
And so people can go over to get the special. They need to. It's 100 special. So 100 special, and then you go to NAMS.
.ws.
NAMS.ws/Terry.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And I am so looking forward to seeing you there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too. We're going to have a fun time, and I will be there for almost the entire event. I might miss an hour or two at the beginning or end, but I'm going to be there almost the entire weekend.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.